Hello, this is Julian with Coffee Reviews, and today I'm going to be discussing my 10 favorite coffees of 2020. So the way this list is going to work is I'm breaking this up into two parts, today being 10 through 6 and tomorrow being 5 through 1. And I've laid down a couple of ground rules for this list. So the first one being I cannot use the same coffee roaster more than twice. Since I've reviewed a lot of Onix and Sweet Bloom coffees on this channel, that prevents me from having too many on my top 10. And the second being, I cannot use the same country more than twice. So that way we don't have just a giant list of Ethiopias or Guatemalas, Panamas, whatever it may be. And of course, it is a requirement that in order for me to put it on this list, I do have to have a video review on this channel that I've done for these coffees, because I've tried quite a few coffees outside of this list that I didn't make a video for, and even though there are a couple that would have actually made my top 10, I wanted to just focus this list on coffee reviews I've already done for this channel. So let's get started with my honorable mentions list, and these were 5 coffees that just missed the cutoff, and they're pretty much just in order from when I reviewed them on this channel from earliest to most recent. And those are the Bahirwi Washed Burundi from Red Bay out in Oakland, California. Las Nubes 256 Natural Colombia Geisha from Barista Parlor in Nashville, Tennessee. The Strawberry Sundae Natural Ethiopia Buriti from Luna in Langley, British Columbia. The Washed Honduras Pacamara from Tim Wendelbo out in Oslo, Norway. And then the Natural Ethiopia Yaraga from Drop Coffee out in Stockholm, Sweden. So let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to discuss a little bit about the coffees and the videos themselves if it's applicable. So coming in at number 10, we have the Gatisi Washing Station Washed Rwanda from Killer Coffee out in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. All right. What I remember from this video was kind of having a little bit of a hard time because the coffees I had had up to that point in Oklahoma City were pretty mediocre. I even scrapped a couple of reviews because I didn't like talking negative about a couple of the coffees I had had. I got there that morning. The barista was incredibly nice. They offered some other coffee roasters in the city that really salvaged that Oklahoma City trip. But of course the highlight was how amazing this coffee was. What I remember it being was kind of like a lemon black tea that worked really well together. It worked in such great harmony together that I couldn't help but compliment how sometimes coffee just really fits when the flavors go really well together. Very tea forward coffee, a very lemon forward coffee, a very lemon tea forward coffee. Overall, between the cafe, the barista experience, and the coffee, one of the better experiences I'd had from any coffee shop on this list. Coming in at number 9 was the Eduardo Lopez Anaerobic Washed Costa Rica from Black and White Coffee in Wake Forest, North Carolina. And this one I like to affectionately dub the Anaerobic's Last Stand, because this was the last anaerobic coffee I really, really enjoyed. It was a suggestion from the barista at Black and White, and I remember a really wild abundance of cinnamon flavors and kind of contrasting with some really nice strawberry flavors. I believe in that video I described it as a cinnamon crumb cake with a strawberry glaze, which is a pretty wild description overall. And looking back on it, I remember just how cinnamon forward that coffee was and how pleasant of an experience the coffee shop, the cafe, and the coffee was. So huge credit to Black and White on that one as well. Coming in at number 8 was the Gatisi Washed Kenya from Sweet Bloom. And probably a surprise to see a Kenya on this list, but that's just how much I liked this Kenya from Sweet Bloom, because it didn't have those red fruit flavors. For me, it was a more peachy and at times coconutty coffee, which was pretty out of the norm in my experience with Kenyas. But I've always said that if there's one coffee roaster I feel does a really good job of Kenyas, it's Sweet Bloom. For me anyway. I don't get those red fruit flavor tastes, and that's what made it so enjoyable. So kind of on a whim when I purchased that one and reviewed the bag, thoroughly enjoyable experience overall. And number 7, we have the Luis Vargas Washed Colombia from Onix, and I have a lot to say on this one because this one's still funny. First things first, I didn't actually order this coffee from Onix. I ordered the Juan Jimenez, and when I got this coffee, I looked it up and sent them a message because I was a little disappointed to have gotten this coffee. That being said, I put it in the blind taste test and it blew the other coffees it was in the blind taste test with out of the water. This was by far the best one between 3 other Sweet Blooms and 2 Onix coffees. Some really lovely fleshy fruit flavors. I believe it was pretty apricot forward. Made it very distinct and notable, and the easiest one to pick out from the blind taste test. So massive kudos and props to Onix for a coffee that I didn't even order, expect, or honestly want, but turned out to be one of the best coffees of the year for me. Alright, and at number 6 we have the Washed Ponderosa Panama Geisha from Manhattan. And this one I reviewed. It was one of my earliest videos when I was out in Los Angeles at the Dayglow coffee shop. And the last time I'd been to Los Angeles, the Dayglow hadn't existed yet. And when I went there and saw their pour-over menu, probably the most impressive multi-roaster pour-over menu I'd ever seen in my life. And stuff like Fritz from Seoul and 5 Elephants from Germany, Drop from Stockholm. Just this wide array and variety of coffees. This one stood out to me because of my immense love for washed Panama Geishas, and it didn't disappoint in the slightest. I remember it being a overly delicate cup of coffee, a little more lemon forward than floral forward for me, but so light and delicate that I couldn't help but kind of be blown away by it, to the point where maybe one of my favorite cafe experiences overall, just because of the coffee. I mean, you couldn't go inside, everyone was sitting outside, a little bit of a wait, pretty expensive, $12 cup of coffee, but nonetheless, every bit as enjoyable as I would have hoped, expected. The expectations were through the roof. And given that that was my first impression of Manhattan ever, first time I tried them from Rotterdam, pretty blown away, and they come in at my number 6 spot. But I'm going to leave it at that. This is my part 1 video, so tomorrow I'm going to release 5 through 1, and I mean, those were by far my 5 favorites, so I can't wait to talk about that list. But I'm going to leave it at that. If you've tried any of these coffees, please let me know as well what you thought of them. If you think that they are worthy of this high praise, or worthy of this their spots on this list, if there's something you might move higher or lower. If you're enjoying the content, though, give this video a like and subscribe if you're not already subscribed. This right here has been the first 5 of my top 10 copies of 2020 list. Thank you for watching.